preface, this is not the neophyte training. I'm sorry. This is not the neophyte training. If you do think this is neophyte training, I can tell you how it was when I was a neo a couple years ago. I'll probably do a little snippet about that, but this is a different place. This is the so click. Next. Let's see. There you go. I just did the arrow.
Okay.
So my name is Brother Philip Wilkerson. I'm a Fall 17 initiate of Theta Rho Lambda in Alexandria and Arlington. I work in higher ed. I work at George Mason University at their Career Center. I'm an employer engagement consultant. Fancy word for doing ideal employer relations. So if there's any employers that are looking to hire Mason students, please holler at me. That's my job. And then I'm also a podcast creator and public speaker. So if you're interested, I just do this thing to get to know people. I'm gonna do a lot of QR codes and do a lot of interaction. I don't like just talking, I like action. So if you ever want to follow up, that's some of my contact information, ways to get engaged. And also, I'm heavy on Twitter. So, all right, next slide, please. Yep. So, like I said, I want to get to know. I want to read the room. I want to know why you're here today. So, if you're on your laptop, either use Slido.com and join with the number, or you can use your phone. So, just give me like an affirmative thumbs up if you get in. But once you get in, I don't want to know to read the room to understand your when you saw this description. Besides not being neophyte training, sorry. Why did you come to a workshop that was about branding yourself on LinkedIn? I want to know a little bit about you. So, I collect some answers, but I want to know to increase your presence. Okay, I can talk about that. Definitely will touch upon increasing your presence. Some other ones. They're coming in, so I'll let them type. That's a little bit of branding, right? Like marketing. So what does branding mean? We'll talk about that in a little bit. To learn how to improve my page to make it more successful with networking. Excellent. I would say right now, when we leave this room, before you leave this room by itself, you should at least connect with 10 new brothers in this room. Before you leave this conference or convention, I really encourage and challenge you to leave with at least 25 contacts. That is the point. We're going to talk about the value add of networking. Networking is not about sleazy salesmanship or getting over on people. Networking is about building meaningful relationships that happen to yield opportunities later. Improve collectively. I saw thank you, Shad. Saw me hosting. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to try to touch upon all those things. Thank you so much. This also gives me an idea of where to go with my presentation. I'm one person that doesn't try to go off slides and be slide heavy. So I do have a few slides, but knowing what you want to talk about or what you want to address today, I can go off, and I really, really encourage, do not stand up, get on that mic, interrupt me at any moment to ask any questions. I think that's also a value add as well, because it helps me understand what you really want to get out of it. All right, okay. Starting this, right, you're going to align your leadership brand. And I specifically use the word leadership, particularly because our fraternity develops leaders. So your brand, as in your individual personal brand, should already be aligned with leadership. We are all leaders in our different sectors. We're all leaders in our different industries. Also leaders, some of us are parents, we're leaders in our home. We're all leaders of some form of fashion. I do not believe when someone says they're not a leader. I think everyone is a leader. There's different types of servant leadership. So everyone is a leader. So when we talk about aligning your leadership brand, you're all a leader, and we want to make sure that brand is aligned with LinkedIn. I always do this and talk to students when I'm at George Mason and say, okay, think about this. And I want to ask you, how does Nike and Reebok brand themselves? Think of the logos that they brand themselves. Just shout it out. How do you know to buy Nike and Reebok?
Commercial.
Commercial, what else? Celebrity endorsements. Anything else?
Reputation
management. What else? Is it Groupon? Oh, you said coupons or Groupons? Yeah, deals, right? What else? Credibility. So think about this. Nike, the same way that Nike and large corporations are brands with their ways that they market themselves, you on a macro level are the same. I'll say this, billboards and flyers, the equivalent for an individual is your resume and cover letter, right? Tangible. Commercials, how you talk, that's your personal pitch or how you interview. Reputation, or what's it called, credibility, that's how people talk about you when you're not in the room. So similar to how those brands have different ways that they advertise themselves, you should have the same mindset yourself. And additionally, does Nike go out and say, don't do it with trash in one place, right? No, their brand is aligned. They say, just do it, and they say, just do it on every single thing. So when I talk to people, I say, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they talk. And I'll say, okay, show me your LinkedIn. I'm like, how come the way you talk about yourself and the way that you show up on LinkedIn are not aligned? There's no brand alignment. So we're going to talk about that, brand alignment. We're going to talk about how you show up, how you talk about yourself, how that visibly shows up in your digital profile. So another thing, standout profile. Like I said, minimum of 10 connections. I want y'all to connect with each other in the room. Joining relevant networking groups. Learn about how you use it to explore companies. And then we're also going to talk about how do you develop and curate content consistently to build a presence on LinkedIn. The main thing is you should not be passive engagers, passive users of this platform. You build connections because people are drawn to you by your consistency and your consistency of content. Does that mean you need to have a radio show or a podcast? Absolutely not. We're going to talk about what does content mean in regards to LinkedIn. Next one. So, piece of paper. Flip it over. I got some extra papers here. Your phone note, memo, whatever you need to get down. I don't want you to read this one without capturing it. But right now, I'm going to take a moment, paper, whatever it is. I want you to think about 3 skills that you have. 3 tangible skills. And when I say are tangible or skills, they could be tangible things like software, Java, Python, whatever. Or they could be what we call transferable soft skills. I'm good at public speaking, leadership, decision making, project management. And I want you to be confident. It's not a place, but we're also alpha men, so we should exude confidence. I want you to list at least 3 things that you know you are skilled at. Similarly, I want you to use 3 words to describe yourself. Adjectives. I'm positive. I will say that. I am upbeat, positive. I'm creative. I'm kind. Those are the words I use to describe myself. The words that you use, those adjectives. Think about 3 projects that you've worked on. So for our college brothers, those projects in class count, projects you worked on. For our employed seasoned brothers, I'm talking about large scale, like I managed this project, that built the building, construction project. I led a team, we revamped our software, whatever. 3 concrete projects that you, or better yet, we want to talk about how to infuse that with your alpha, maybe 3 projects that you led within your leadership in alpha. Maybe you were the chaplain and you did a newsletter for your chapter. Maybe you're the historian and you gathered and collected oral history. These are things I was trying to say that I'm trying to do when I was, whatever. But think about those 3 projects. And then lastly, this is kind of like your own mission statement. I want you to put it down on paper. What do you want your impact to be on the community? I left community very vague because how you define community. I want to say, what is your impact at the college campus? What is your impact in your church? What is your impact in the city of Alexandria and Arlington, where you're seated? I want you right now, what do you want your impact to be on the community? So I'll take a couple minutes. I want you to get that down because we're going to bring that back in later on. Any questions? Any thoughts? Thumbs up, thumbs down, this trash. Feedback. It's okay. I got thick skin, I understand. I get away from my wife. This is it's supposed to be a positive space, you know what I'm saying? I guess it's time. So I recorded this too, so that's
I was about to say it's recorded.
All right. So next slide. Next slide, please. So, what skills did you write down? Let's read the room. Once again, if you're just coming in, you put on paper or use this thing. I'm just curious. I want to see what skills our brothers are confident in in this, what skills you put down. I'm also kind of sourcing people because if I see some skills that I need, I'm gonna holler at y'all later. So it's a technique. There's always a purpose. But what skills did you write down? What kind of skills did you write down?
Just want to shout them out? Or?
You can shout them out as you write them up too. Yeah, shout them out too. What skills did people put?
Managing interpersonal relationships.
Managing interpersonal relationships. I love that. Resourcefulness. I love it.
Project management.
Project management. You got some PMPs in here? All right, I need to figure out how to get one. All right. Public speaking, web design. Excellent. Now, I always say this is kind of like always go on random tangents. If there are concrete skills, when I call concrete things you can prove, make sure you're very explicit with those concrete things. So like if you say web design, make sure that you're explicit with which software in web design that you know, Drupal and all that. I love that someone said diplomatic engagement or managing interpersonal relationships. Those are very transferable skills. Just make sure that you have a story or narrative to share that illustrates that, right? Because that's how you illustrate soft skills. Like, you can't just take my word for it. I have to illustrate a story. Go ahead. Or just an interview, but also just being ready to talk about it. Someone's like, what the hell does that even mean? You know, so think about life as an interview. Like if someone said, can you explain what managing interpersonal relationships mean? That's not even an interview, but still you can attach a story to it. And then transfer it later, you probably could make that a very good interview response as well. Oh yeah, yeah. On the LinkedIn profile, and we're gonna get to that. On the LinkedIn profile, we'll probably just say manage, like when I say skill section, you'll say managing, I like that one, managing interpersonal relationships. And we're gonna talk about how you can even put that in your narrative. There's a part called the summary, where you can say, I'm a seasoned project management professional with years of experience leading teams and managing interpersonal relationships. So there's ways you can strategically throw that in your summary as well. Question. So wow, we got a lot of people solid work, so that's great. So thank you. I'm definitely gonna keep people's responses, and I'm gonna ask people later who did this, and so we can get to work together. All right, next one. So why personal branding? So your personal brand magnifies and amplifies your already existing purpose. That's why I asked you, what is your impact? Your personal brand, think about the goals of Nike. Right? Nike as a personal or as a brand, they have these branding things to magnify their visibility, right? So you as an individual, you're using your personal brand to magnify your visibility. I always say, we always think the brand of Alpha, that your actual personal brand should be aligned with the brand of Alpha, right? And how we show up in our normal lives should be representative of Alpha men, right? And so that when we walk into new spaces, as Alpha men, our individual, like us as individuals, are magnified by the brand of Alpha. Does that make sense? Like if someone walks in, I say I'm an Alpha man, because of my attachment to the brand of Alpha, I'm already magnified and amplified. My voice is already credible, right? Someone said credible, because there's attachment that with this organization builds credibility, right? So your personal brand should amplify your purpose, right? So if you have a goal to do something, my purpose is I want to work in higher ed. I want to develop the young people. Then my personal brand should help me, align me, and magnify my goals of helping young people, right? Does that make sense? Or whatever you want to do in your community, your impact. Your personal brand allows you to engage and reach strangers and the right people before you walk in the room. Think about that, right? Because of my brand, because someone said earlier, because of Nike already has a credibility, right? With strangers. We don't know Nike. I mean, that's a person. We call Nike an entity of a person. We don't know them personally, right? They are technically strangers to us. But because of that brand, we already know, we already reach out to them and we purchase their stuff. The same thing. Having and managing your personal brand allows you to connect with strangers as well as help you connect with the right people. It helps you, your personal brand helps you create a positive experience and earn trust before you even meet people. Does that make sense, right? People trust people based on reputation and based on what you put out, right? So how many times have you met someone based on their reputation or how they put themselves out. We don't know nothing about them, but we innately have a sense of trust with that person. Show of hands, right? So that is why we want to build our personal brands, because we want people to build innate or a trust of us before we even have to sell them on anything. Think about that. If you're an entrepreneur or B2B, we talk B2B salesman, business to business salesman, right? You want to have a credible reputation that before you even open your mouth, you're already on the positive end, right? You're already met with skepticism and cynicism. You're already met with positive experience or positive interaction, positive reputation or thought, right? And the goal of LinkedIn personal branding is to not keep them on LinkedIn. That's the funniest thing I ever heard, right? It is a gateway to get them somewhere off of LinkedIn. So put that on big paper, right? Your goal is to get them on, engage with them on LinkedIn, but your goal is to get them off LinkedIn. What I mean by getting them off LinkedIn, individual phone calls, to your email listserv if you have one, to what a website that you have, you want to get them off, right? Like, there's no point. Someone comments, yeah, great job. Who cares? You want to get people off LinkedIn to connect with you in real life. I'm really excited for this because I've met a lot of the brothers from via LinkedIn or whatever. This is going to be the first time I met a lot of brothers in person. So that's the point, right? The point was I wanted to build relationships with brothers on LinkedIn to get them off LinkedIn to actually engage in person. All right, next slide. So what is LinkedIn? This is kind of redundant. If some people don't know, personal networking site. It's a resource for recruiters. And what I mean by that, so that's what we're going to talk about: search engine optimization, keyword optimization, putting the keywords, as that gentleman said, the words that make sense, projects, personal relationships, whatever. We want to make sure, because it is a sourcing tool for recruiters. Recruiters have different levels of access. They type in a keyword, and then you pull up. So they're sourcing you. So it's a great way to connect, tap into your network. I also use it as a way to do career research or read the room before I even go places. You know, quick tip. I'm gonna do like quick tips. You know, every now and then. When I go to a conference and I see the keynote speaker, I look them up immediately and see a little bit about them. Or after the conference, I look up the keynote speaker. So I use this to read the room before I even walk in the room as well. I do some career preparation, interview preparation with it. And it just helps you interact. It's interactive. It's an interactive thing. It's live. It means I tell people, interact and comment, as often as you should, but then at least try to update your profile quarterly. So I have set a phone reminder on my phone that, once I get new accomplishments or do a new task at work, make sure I sweep and update my LinkedIn profile. Next one, please. And if I'm talking too fast, so why should I use it? Once again, this is actually taken from 2019, 18. So some of these numbers are a little bit lower than what they are in actuality. It's a lot of people, and it's free. So it's free. What's up?
You said the numbers are lower. That first 70% of students make higher on social media.
Yes, higher.
I was just saying, the numbers up, considering we're virtual.
Yeah, I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I took this from my work slide, but I will tell you right now, it's probably more than 78%. I'll tell you that right now. It's high. Actually, I think that's actually 2016, so it's significantly high. And so that's what the problem. I'm interested to see what it is now, where that statistic is now. And that was via LinkedIn Insights. So I have like an account because I use it so much. They give me a link. They call me a LinkedIn advisor, so I get insights and numbers and stuff. So I'll connect with me after. I'll not see that. And this too, jobs are going up. I'll tell you right now, we did experience, or I don't know if we're still in a recession, right? But I like to say job migration, right? There's still jobs available. They're just moving and migrating. One industry has hurt. Like one industry was hurting, another one goes up. Meaning like hospitality and tourism plummeted during COVID, right? But then digital work, Amazon and Capital One grew. Then after COVID, they realized they overhired at Amazon, and then they're plummeting. And then outside, hospitality and tourism is going up. So think about that. There's career unemployment is not just flat. There's the employment migration. So just being attuned to the trends and which ones are floating and migrating. Does that make sense? So I usually work with students and say, oh, there's no jobs for me. Yes, there is. You have to look and search for them and also open your vision into different industries and understand the macro is going around you. It's kind of similar to stock, right? You know to buy certain stock based on what's going on in the news. Think about that in your career, right? What's going on? I feel like, okay, for creatives, one big issue for creative people is ChatGPT. Have you ever heard of ChatGPT? So everyone's thinking, oh man, AI is going to kill the written word. I'm like, nah, just kind of use it. So being attuned to what's going on and just being one step ahead. All right, next slide, please. Go ahead.
Do you think it's worth getting?
Okay, so 2 points to that. One, if your job pays for it, 100% worth it. Two, I do this thing where I get the free for 6 months, use it very actively while it's free, and then cancel it. So yeah, if you're an active job seeker, I really highly encourage active job seekers to do it, premium, and then cancel it before you get charged. And then do it again 6 months later because they don't catch on. So I would agree that it's very, think about your goals with LinkedIn. Value add, active job seeker in a temporary way, or if you are a B2B salesman or someone that really needs it for their job, there's similar to the other side about industries. Certain industries need it, use it more actively, some don't. I mean, when I was looking at employee relations, I made a case that I need this to access employers. So I was able to make a case for myself and then talk about the value add, and then I report out what I've done, what new connections, what new insights I've used. So really understand, going back to what is your purpose and understanding, does that purpose have a value add, return on investment, and if you're getting your money's worth. Good question.
On LinkedIn, if you're a threshold, if you don't want to see in our career, is there like a threshold maybe you don't need to include certain?
So yes, good question. Good question. So I usually tell people, and this is full of 1%, my individual opinion, that brain dumping on LinkedIn is okay, brain dumping on that's okay. The part where you need to be condensed and succinct is your actual resume and cover letter. So with that, I have experiences that date pretty far back. I don't have my first job at Baskin Robbins on there. You know what I'm saying? It was a high school job, hourly wage. But I did have my first job post college and on up. So I would say professional, like your first paid professional opportunity and up, have that listed on LinkedIn. Like high school part-time job, not really, or like summer jobs, or even while you were in college doing temporary work, I don't think that calls that. But I also know proactively that some people actually now they have a new thing for people returning to work, and they can actually explain career gaps. That some people have actually used that. Stay at home dad, or I was temporarily laid off or something. I think it's okay with the transparency stuff. So it's case by case. But I say more is okay because we're going to talk about if your other past jobs have bullet points that you can use because there's good words in their teamwork and stuff, then use your past jobs because we're going to talk about search engine optimization later. And so maybe some of the old jobs have keywords that you really think would be important to share with the world. Good question.
As college students, how far back in the
Oh yeah, for college students, I always tell college students, once you're a sophomore, drop everything from high school. So if you're a freshman and sophomore, have your high school stuff on. Once that flip, second semester sophomore, drop high school with the mindset that honestly you should be getting involved in college, right? I tell people, I've met seniors that say drop your sophomore year of high school, and they're like, I didn't do nothing in college. I'm like, big dummy. Like, why? Like, so if you're getting involved and really actively involved, drop it your sophomore year. Good question. All right, so we're gonna practice right now. All right, so practice time. Got some worksheets up here. Can you go to the next one? So getting started, while I'm talking, I'm kind of parallel with people multitasking. I'll give you this sheet right here. It's called your personal branding sheet. This is going to be your brain dump, like the gentleman said. So I want you to, in that section, even if you're out of degrees, everything related to your education, put it in the education section, right? For experiences, for the experience section, you don't have to put bullets yet, but just say like at least 3 to 6 bullets per job. But I want you to list every experience that you've had, just the name, like, intern, CEO, and just list them. And if, freelance. And then for the skills section, I have the 2 sections separated. I have soft skills, the ones you get to share with a story, and then concrete skills. So while I'm talking, this is just your brain dump, because what I want you to do is when you're ready to build out your LinkedIn profile, I want you to be able to refer to this sheet, the brain dump, and get your ideas out. So please, if you didn't get one, I have some copies up here. I didn't know how many people were gonna come. I only made like 25, so I'm pretty surprised. So if you did not get one, don't worry, send me an email and I will stay connected. All right, so just kind of some basic, these are basic tips. Professional photo, done, right? But I will say this too, with the professional photo, you can also do photos per your industry, right? So if you are a photographer, you can have, a picture with your camera. It's kind of reading the industry, right? If you're suited and booted, be suited and booted in your LinkedIn profile. No group shots. And sorry, some of this I'm gonna say is redundant and not, but you'd be surprised. People still be putting group shots on LinkedIn. It's not Facebook, right? Like you don't have to have, the whole chapter, the whole chapter photo in your profile picture. Maybe if you want to put that as your banner, maybe, but like you be the central focus. You don't have to smile. Don't kill someone. Still. You can look serious without looking like you want to have a death stare. So just still be inviting, because think about what we said earlier, right? We want to invite. We want to invite people to connect, right? So think about that optics of presentation, warmth, whatever. Good lighting, definitely good lighting, good camera, not blurry. Don't do it on your Boost mobile phone or that Cricket watch. Make sure you don't use your cell phone. Use a high quality, good quality. So make your custom URL. I don't have a chance. Maybe when people want to come up to me later, I'll show you how to make one. But custom URL means like when you have it says www.linkedin / and it has a bunch of computer codes. You can customize that and update that and say linkedin.com / and your name, Philip Wilkerson, which I did. It makes it cleaner to put on your resume. It makes it cleaner as a link to share. So customize your URL. That's just one tip to do. Easy tip. Writing a compelling summary. That's what we're actually going to practice a little bit today. That's why I had you have the brain dump. That's why I also asked you the 3 words to ask about yourself or the project to craft a really good summary. And then, as someone said earlier, early jobs not go for detail. Go for detail. I'm going to practice when I preach. Hold me accountable. I'll go back to the volunteer section and not bullets. But you should have, for every professional experience and volunteer experience, particularly in Alpha, you should have at least 3 to 6 bullet points per opportunity. So it shouldn't just be like, I was the CEO of a company and that's it. CEO of the company and 3 bullets talking about what you did, starting with action verbs. Another thing, I'm gonna always get out stuff. In this guide, on page 56, are a list of action verbs if you get stumped, brain stumped. But like action verbs are anything that's executed, led, taught, words that can invoke action. Start with those, and then we're gonna talk about impact statements, how to make those action verb statements impactful. And then asking recommendations. Recommendations are at the bottom. It's a great way to elevate your brand because similar people trust other people. So when they go to your profile and they see at the bottom the recommendations that are given to you, once again, that builds innate trust because people trust other people, and maybe the people that wrote you recommendations are people they know. So they already have an innate level of trust with that person. So if that person can vouch for them or vouch for you, then you're credible. Yes. So we're going to talk about building a multimedia profile, meaning have different things on there, resumes, publications. Don't be afraid to connect. My brothers know that I'm not. I ain't gonna lie, I'm shameless. I go to group things, digital conventions. I have I have it there, copy and paste and say, hey brothers, it's Philip Wilkerson. Connect with me. I don't care. Like what's worse is gonna happen? They say no, they don't, they skip over. So don't be afraid to connect. But I will say this, when you do connect with two things, authenticity and intention. So in authenticity, when I reach out, hi, my name is Brother Wilkerson. I just want to introduce myself. And then intention is, I'm not automatically going to sell something or say, I hate it. I really hate it when people say, thank you for connecting. Here's my business. I'm like, we just don't do that, right? So I say like something that I'm actually like, I reach out to someone and say, I just read an article about you and I really liked it. And I cite it. So I'm very intentional and authentic when I do my reach outs or reaching out to people. And so when I reach out to them and connect with them on LinkedIn, I'm going through that. There's two mindsets: authenticity, telling the truth, why I reached out to that person, and being upfront with my intentions, and not trying to go around and say, "Okay, thank you for connecting. Surprise! Here's my business link." Right? I don't like that.
One, you speak to why it's important to have a large chain of connection. And then two, let me pass the wisdom to social media overall. And that is monetizing your connections, your followers,
Okay, yeah, put me on the spot. No, okay. So number one, numbers, straight algorithm wise, that's what we raise. It should not just be numbers to numbers, it's numbers of engaged numbers. So does that make sense? So if I have 1,000 followers, but none of them know me, none of them know me, you don't engage, it's just flat. It doesn't do anything. But if I have 500, which is half of that, but we're engaging, they comment on my stuff, that pushes out to audiences bigger than me. So it's kind of a twofold. You want to have numbers, but you want to have numbers of authentic, engaged followers, participants, engagement. Because even on LinkedIn, if you notice, if you comment on something, it pops up on news feeds of other people that are not even connected to you, and vice versa. So that's the numbers there. And then going back to the monetization of your social media, that is the same thing we said earlier, is that to get them monetized, get them off LinkedIn to whatever you have. So that's why you always see people saying, YouTube followers and all that stuff. Click the link in the bio to subscribe, but then in my bio is all this stuff, right? Like they're trying to get you off to get to that, whatever they're selling or to whatever your services are. So think about that too. Do I have goods or services? If I have goods or services, how will I use my LinkedIn to get people to my goods or services? If you're an accountant, how do I use LinkedIn to get people to my accounting services? If I am a vendor right here, how do I get them off the social media to buy my material? So think about those two things and how you can channel those two things to get them off. If that answers your monetization question. And like you can also if you do have enough following or whatnot, you can also talk about sponsorships and hi, my name is Philip Wilkerson, here's Coca-Cola, like eventually you become your own mini brand too, where you sell products too through your social media. So those are a couple ways. I mean, honestly, I'm doing that right now. I made a media kit for my podcast. What I'm gonna do with my podcast in this media kit is I'm actually gonna take it to organizations and say, hey, these are my followers, these are how many people download my episodes, this and this and this. If you give me how much money, I will throw your name in every episode. So that's the monetization of creative stuff. Good question. All right, next question. All right, yeah.
Do you have any rule of thumb regarding connecting your personal LinkedIn page to your
Business page?
company? Yeah.
So one, technically I'm already connected to my business because when you put in your profile and say where you work and you type in your work, if it's automatically, it pulls you in. So I'm already connected to George Mason. And then if you are a full entrepreneur, like your own business, I really encourage making your own business page and having that. But then think about this. If you have your own business page on LinkedIn, speak through the voice of like not you, if that makes sense. So on your business page, my wife was like, I have like the positive filter page. She's like, in this episode, Phil, you sound like a crazy person. I'm like, I'm not gonna say me if the thing says positive filter. So I would say the separation is if you have a business page, speak in the voice of a Blink entity, and then whatever.
So I'm a full-time entrepreneur. And I put my post up to me. The strategy I was thinking was that the connection and the authenticity that the follower now gets to engage with the actual person. Because we have so many companies that have so much variety.
Yes.
But that's strategy wrong.
No, I say both. Yes, and. I'm not a person that says no, yes, black, white. I like gray suit. No, but I would say yes, and. So one thing to think about, and you spoke about that individual personal individualization for women. They said that that's why video content is going on. So if there's opportunities for you to make video content to see my face, that gets people because they want to know who the people are. So I would encourage you to tap into that. But maybe if you want to have your name or your organization as a separate like page, just to sell things, but then still go on and engage and share stories. Sometimes I do things where I use my personal and then tag my business or whatever to draw people there. But it's a combination. There's no black, white, it's yes and. And building a strategy about that. Like I actually wrote it out. You know, some people pay $1,000 to like get someone to be their content strategist. I'm like low budget. I print out a real paper calendar, and in that paper calendar, I just wrote what I was going to post a couple times. I didn't do it for every single day, but I just kind of thought like I look at the month of April. I have some like Fridays. I usually do a feel good Friday, so I wrote out my stuff, so I'm ready. Excellent.
So what is the appropriate frequency? I don't like to get money.
Yeah, you don't want to get spam. Okay, so I will say this: challenge yourself. We're going to talk about content. Challenge yourself to do 10 minutes a day of what I call passive engagement. So 10 minutes of passive engagement means you go on and you scroll on people's news feeds, and you like and comment and you engage with other people's posts. And then I'm gonna challenge y'all, everyone in here, to at least post something unique. They post at least once a week. Just try that. I'm a daily person. I try to think about thoughtfully what I post once a day on LinkedIn, and then and I write it out. Sometimes I type it to make sure there's no typos, because if you edit, like once you edit the post, it knocks down the algorithm. So you want to make sure that when you post it the first time, it's correct. And so I'm a daily, once a day person. I'm not like the 4 times a day and spam the hell out of people person, but I am once a day. And I challenge y'all to be at least once a week, saying something, news feed, share an article, whatever, and then at least engaging with other people. Yeah, go ahead.
Sharing counts as active engagement.
I believe so. Yes. I mean, you might hear something from someone different, but I believe so. It's engaging, and when you share things, it still pulls other people and makes you visible. So yes, that's active engagement. Okay.
I'm also currently unemployed. So I'm kind of like, what should I be like? I'm a plumber, right? We usually talk about work. So any suggestions?
I mean, I've seen some people be really vulnerable and say I'm active, like I'm an active job seeker, open, please share it, repost this, and then they get like thousands and thousands of views on LinkedIn. Some people are okay and comfortable with doing open to hire, that little open to hire banner. So what I'm going to say is some people have used that and leaned into it as a strategy, and some haven't based on their comfortability. I would say if you're not comfortable being visible with that, still do it. Like we're going to talk about connecting with people, and maybe that's something you share via the DMs when you connect with people. So it's a two-way strategy for that. I don't know. And also to be the rationale. I know a lot of people that use that when they got laid off from Amazon and Capital One. They were tagging Amazon at Capital One, and they got all these views. So it's just kind of reading the room with that. And I think that's a personal choice. First, one, based on strategy, based on comfortability, and 2, I think, what would be your goals for that? I always go back to, the purpose statement. Is it just being an overshare? So I'm not going to give you a finite answer. I think just think about it thoughtfully, and there's more than one strategy you can employ with that. Okay, I think this gentleman was here, and then, but
Marie Davis, Atlanta Chat Process in New York.
So my question for you was, you're going in passive engagement, like picking certain folks to like and add a message to get that engagement started. Because then there's, I'm thinking like passively, I'm thinking like, oh, I like that, well,
But I go further and I comment too. I go further and I comment and I actually say things not like, great job. I actually say things like, this was well written, or I agree, like things that actually, so when someone else sees it, they're not just saying, oh, this dude, all he does is go through everyone's posts and say, great job. That sounds corny. I actually say something unique to that. And then we can talk about it later. Sometimes I do is you can search hashtags, and I do a hashtag, and that 10 minutes of scrolling is pertinent to what like the industry. Or like honestly, not to sound scientific, sometimes it is just straight up what is on my main news feed, and I'm just engaging on that too. So all three of those would be my answer to that. And Kel, do you have a question in the back? Okay, cool. All right, so just some tips. Banner, right? You can make one on Canva or something. We'll have that blank banner. Also make your banner, make sure it's kind of like unique to your industry or whatever. I have things about career services. Photo. Now, this is called the headline. By default, the headline just pulls your most recent job. That's boring. You can edit your headline without messing up the rest of your jobs. So I put words to describe myself. Higher ed professional, podcast creator, career development, whatever. What did I have to do earlier? Maybe use one of your 3 words. Java developer, whatever. Because also with pulling, when they say they're pulling a search engine, when someone says they're looking for podcasts or whatever, it's pulling from here, it's pulling from the whole page. All right, and then we go to the value. Next one. Okay, sorry. Not really. So this is updated. I was like, man, I kept on putting this slide in here. So podcast owner, and I have my company, my organization, and I have bullets. And then you see right here, I have bullets. And then I have things right here, like pictures and graphics that align with that. And then right here, I have recommendations. So I'm just showing you the practice what I preach, full profile. And it's not just, as I said earlier, I knew what I was like, man, I kept on showing the slide. I haven't updated it, but when I did, now I have these 3 bullets that relate to that job. So I have 3 things to share about every opportunity. So this is not a thing, but just impactful accomplishment statements include an action verb, a skill, a task, or an accomplishment. True or false? It's pretty true. Yeah, that's a dumb, yeah. It's a dumb question. I took it from one of my friends. The point is, it is true. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, so one of the things I think about is, you can do this too, is a T-chart, is before you draft your accomplished statements or before you sell your stories, I usually like to do things where I take the qualifications of the job or what you're interested in, write them out, and then give concrete examples on this side with bullets. So just use that. So for the gentleman that said, I like that. I want to hear the story if you can. Managing interpersonal relationships. What would be that example that has an action verb for that, right? Or communication. I spoke publicly, conducted 40 speaking engagements in front of audiences of 50. That's going to be my communication display. All right, next one, please. So, accomplishment statements, these are just things to think about for the bullet points of your LinkedIn when you're pulling those words. What did you do? Why did you do it? How did you do it? And how was anything improved or results? I usually also go a little further and say how much, how many, numbers don't lie, the method in which you did it, to who is the recipient of that action. So I wouldn't say I just conducted workshops. I conducted workshops to a variety of audiences, whether it ranged from college students to CEOs and C-suite executives, right? I said the who, my actions impact. Go ahead.
What about if you can't really write a very little accomplishment because there's certain aspects of the job that you cannot try to get assigned?
Okay, then, so the confidentiality part.
Yes.
So what came, okay, so like, let's say, what, like, you're a lawyer, give me an example, I mean,
Like, I'm working pharmaceutical as a drug product scientist, but my company is interested in.
so what's the most generic thing you can say that still could be an action verb? Do you connect with clients? Do they allow you to say that? And very broad wise, like connecting with clients to represent the name of the organization.
Yes.
So I would say just like I said, like, I mean, and at that point, what's the NDA and what's not, and develop bullet points circumventing that NDA. Because I don't want to get you fired, right? I also want you to market yourself. Just use your common sense, right? You're not going to say, sold this drug specifically to this doctor, right? Like, you know, circumvent it. Like, what part would be marketable to someone else? I engage client, variety of clients. The end, variety. Didn't say which ones. Or maybe, you know, they don't want you to talk about how much money you made, but you can say you closed on deals. You can say which deals. So that part, right? You know, like if I was a reporter and I interviewed famous people, but I had those famous people sign NDAs, I cannot name the famous people. I still can say I'm a famous reporter that interviewed famous people without giving the names of the famous people. Does that make sense? And I can still use that, like conduct it over and over, or the interviews that I did with these famous people were still published in Newsweek magazine. So I was still able to share what I do without getting in trouble legally. That makes sense. I don't know, I was just kind of giving a BS answer, you know, but the point is, it's still work, I think, right? You know, it's being smart, understanding it's raining, and also not getting in trouble, right? That's a good point. All right, so this is the actual way to do it. This is just an example. So when you have your bullet points or things that you share on LinkedIn, just make sure you see, right? It has the action verb, has what you did, who you did it with, and it has some quality. Because LinkedIn, they're gonna pull out, like they say, okay, you could just say, I made a website, but put the word HTML in there. The hat, pull out, searching for someone who's skilled in HTML. Does that make sense? But
I want to share a resource, but you haven't used ChatGPT.
yeah, I use it.
ChatGPT, take your resume, change your job description to action. You can feed it your resume. You can customize it to fit the cover letter for every job that you properties. And this technology is going to come stop. Only Americans say people are struggling with that.
I think so. No, I leaned into it. I did the same thing. I actually joked one time. I made it make a fake job that I wanted. I said I wanted to be the mayor of Mason, and so I created a job posting just for fun. The point is, ChatGPT would work. ChatGPT would work if you give it concrete prompts, like this gentleman said, concrete prompts, and also make sure that you like customize it, because it'll say like, "Dear XYZ." It does say that. You're like, okay, make sure you fill it in with the right person. Well, yeah, it's a great tool. I leaned into it, but just make sure that after you do it, upload it, still take the 2 to 3 seconds to customize it, so you don't get in trouble and also look like you're lazy.
And just to follow up on that, keep in mind that these companies do have AI filters where they can scan what you submit to see if it was written by ChatGPT or anything like that. So
you gotta customize
just really foot stomp whatever that machine gives you, kind of use it as a blueprint, not what
Yes.
you just
Yeah,
submit.
it's basically a skeleton.
Yeah.
Anything like when you make an outline for a paper, use it, but then really fill it in the outline. And then make sure that, like, if it gives you some general stuff, but make sure you say the individual, very niche thing that only you did, the unique stuff to make you set yourself apart. All right, next one, please. All right, so your turn. I want you to practice again. We're gonna practice again. So I'm not lying. I want you to pick one of your actual roles in Alpha. I want you to take one of your roles in Alpha, and I want you to actually turn it into make 3 action statements related to your actual role. Because I think the point was, if I put it on there, I said translate your Alpha experience on LinkedIn. So I definitely got one slide to say I did what I said I was going to do. So take one of your roles. I gave a couple examples. And I want you to think of those action verbs. Maybe some in here if you get stumped. On page 56. And then I want you to think of those accomplishment statements. So like whatever you did, like if you were the chapter president, add some things in there, like led a chapter of how many people or where you're regionally involved in, or what are the things you led, or what are the projects. But I just want you to think about that because there's a volunteer section. I just want to make sure that we actually do something. I like the word workshop because we actually do some actually maybe take a minute. I'm interested in anyone thought of one so far to share what they're thinking about. And I have some more of these sheets. I got some LinkedIn sheets right here, and I got some more of these resume guides if anyone wants them. What time is this over? 11:30? Who's it? What time is it on the schedule?
11:40.
Okay, good. I'm on pace. All right, cool.
It's 26 right now.
Yeah. We're not so on time.
While you're talking, I'm just uploading things. Did not have my website. And then I just changed it was more of my job. I didn't want that.
No, you
But I
got
never thought I could change it.
Yeah, change the 3 words.
I just changed it now.
Would you say
I
entrepreneur?
appreciate
Did you say entrepreneur?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
didn't.
Yeah.
So, putting my
that? Yeah. Board member. Yeah, you fall class member. All right.
yeah.
Go ahead. How about you, Sam?
Questions real quick. Is there a way for the good of everybody to mass share your LinkedIn profile? I'd like to connect with every brother in here if possible, but I don't want to go around.
So there's 2 ways to do mass sharing. One, make a QR code that's easy. That's what I did, like later on. So people just do it like on a computer screen. And I think there's a feature, there used to be, no, they took it away for privacy. Yeah, it took it away where it was like, go to network. And then it was like able to, like, you pull up a QR code on your phone. Let me see. Yeah, they took that away because people was getting hacked. So I think the quickest way to do it is make your own, like, I do a couple things, like mass-wise is one, QR code on a slide for people. This is just me. I invested in one of these like cards called like Tappy, tech cards to tap and connect with people. And then the other one is on a separate Word document. I have virtual meeting links, and I wrote, you saw I write a blurb out, and every time I'm in group chats, I just throw that junk in there. So, hey, nice to meet everybody here. Connect with me. I throw it in a group chat. So those are some mass techniques to use. There used to be that one where it's like pull up that thing, like doo-doo-doo, and it was like almost like you know how you share things on Apple phones?
AirDrop.
Yeah, airdropping people to LinkedIn, but then it got security hacked, and they don't want to do that. Good question. I think there was one more. There was someone here, and then someone back here. There, right?
Yeah, so let's share an insight for those who are currently jobs. So LinkedIn has a jobs tab. You have a profile, and it uses your location, user experience, as well as skills powered description to match you to what will curate a short list of jobs that you fit your profile. So make take advantage of spend the time to properly put together a profile in the top jobs for the world surface. Actually,
yeah, like I said, key word is the words and systems cannot work unless it has the content to pull from. Good point. Yeah. Yeah, we talk about setting job alerts, right? Sometimes I set job alerts. All right. I saw this one thing where it says apply through LinkedIn, and it just did it off my profile. Yeah. So it asks you permission to connect your profile to pull it. Yeah. All right. Did anyone want to share at least one, so that we can talk about how we did this? Did anyone actually think about one of the roles of alpha and translating it to bullet points? Anybody? Thank you. What would you say? Which role? Now, I would say maybe hold off on the Line Brother one. And the only reason I say that is because maybe the outside world doesn't know what that means, and also some behind the scenes of IMDb. So probably don't put that one on there. That's for this one. That's a good one to talk about in the room. So how about now that you're in Alpha, what is one of your roles? Okay, get one and then use that. Because I was gonna say, I ain't trying to do no smoke. Someone saying that he's putting all his IMDb roles on. So think about that. Like, for instance, if you do become the treasurer, let's say the treasurer of your chapter, what's the budget of your chapter, right? Or vice president, all that stuff. So that's a good way to think about it. I like that you actually think about line president. But I would encourage you to do a role in your chapter. So,
I'll give it a shot as a fellow, I'm guessing you're Neo. As a fellow Neo, I think our job, our impact statement is to come into the organization, see what's working versus what's not working, because we're fresh, right? That's our job, is to keep things moving in the right direction. And also vet the next group of people that are coming in, since we're the sort of the tip of the spear.
or you could just say you are a general member
Yeah.
and talk about the things you actually did so far as a member, like volunteered at X, Y, and Z. So just say member of the organization. They don't have the title yet, but you're a member. Talk about the things that you've done to contribute to the chapter. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Perfect. So instead of just saying helping with the editor of Sphinx, let's use the word saying, as a member, member's the thing, right? Assisted editor of the Sphinx to increase our visibility via Instagram with all the stuff we do. Perfect. That's a great example. All right, and use the word Instagram because you're pulling out that you're using Instagram to do this. Did you make things creating videos and all that stuff? So just throwing that. I love that. That's a great one. That's a good one. We'll go to the next one, please. So what should you include in your summary statement? This is just an example. Summary statement sets the tone for the rest of your LinkedIn. It's live, it updates, it changes. Similar like your mission statement or your summary statement is not going to be the same in 5 years. So make sure you update it. And it should include at least, I say, this is a rule of thumb, at least 6 to 8 bullets. 6 to 8 sentences, like a thoughtful paragraph, and using words like pre-accomplished statements, keywords that are key to your industry, your computer skills, and actually reveal a little bit about yourself, what your career goals. So a lot of college students use that as a way to say, I'm a current, pre-med student looking to I've already gotten familiar with doing really good in organic chemistry and hope to one day be a particular doctor, right? So you can actually put your career ambitions in your summary statement. So let's go to the next one. I want to get some questions back. Yep.
So it's like an opportunity to
Storytelling, 100%. Nice narrative thing. That's an example. You can go on mine, you can see mine is different than everyone else's. Some people do put emojis in it. Some people want to really stand out. I'm not going to put no emojis in my summary. That's just me. But this is just an example of someone else, right? Using words like passion, human-centered, all that mess, right? So that's just an example. Next one. Don't worry. If anyone wants to get these slides, I'm going to give them to everybody. Just connect with me. It's not. So keyword, this just shows that most engagement or most jobs are found through networking. But this kind of saying like, and it's taken further right now, saying like, I got this job on LinkedIn, so technically that's networking. But literally, most of our opportunities are through other people. So just showing that. It's still the age-old thing, cold calling, cold applying to positions. People get jobs. There's no absolutes in anything, right? But still knowing people and having relationship building gets you opportunities over cold applying. That makes sense. There's the graphic. Networking rules. Okay, next one. So people say, I don't have a network. Well, everyone, This is harder. This is a different slide. When I have this on this slide, this is like for people that don't have any confidence, say they don't know nobody. That's not this room. But I will say, we're all embedded. We all have a network. We all have a network. And I like to go with that in your life, we are at least 1 or 2 separations from anything we want to know. So when I say this, if you wanted to be a doctor, go through what we call the 5 F's: friends, family, formal organizations, fellow alum, and former bosses, right? That's 5 F's. I gotta write it down. But point is, if you can go through all those F's, I bet you at least one person can connect you for at least an informational interview or ask questions to you. So if I say, hey, I want to be a doctor, I can go through the friends, family, fellow alum, which I can show you how to do that on LinkedIn, and all that. And I'm sure that you can connect with at least one person that will not get you that opportunity. I'm not saying you will become a doctor, but at least you can ask questions to. That's the main thing. Connect and ask questions to. We all have that. Here's some other examples, right? Friends and family, teams, classes, work home, alum, career fairs. Like I said, the tapping. We all have a network. We're all embedded, and it kind of goes with our brand, right? And I want to say this too. As we go to new circles, right? Hopefully, if you met someone outside or in a new sphere, you said, I met Brother Wilkerson. Hopefully, what I say about myself is what is aligned with what the world, or what other people in different spheres or networks say about me. Because that shows that I have alignment in rooms that I'm in and not in, if that makes sense. Okay. So this is the way to connect. I was going to show it when you filter people. Stay around. I'll be having my laptop. I don't think I have enough time to do the real targeted way that I reach out to people I don't know. But I do it very specifically, and I'll show you that. Whoever wants to show you, I'll show you. It's off of this presentation. I'll just use it. I'm just showing that this way. If you message them, I say this right now. Worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario if you reach out to someone with intention and authenticity? What happens? Okay, what happens with your day? Not a damn thing. I won't lose no sleep. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, that's what we said. It's okay to connect or reach out because there's nothing really to lose. What's the positives? Now, let me see. Okay, we have certain circumstances, right? People ghost you, or maybe, we'll talk about that earlier. Maybe we have some interested candidates using this. Maybe that's the thing. Just don't answer them because that's probably their intention when they say, hey, I just want to be your friend. No, they don't. They want to get into the fraternity, right? Let's be real with that one, right? But other times, intention and authenticity works. Yes, Karen.
So you mentioned how do you make this all that feel like spam if they don't, you know, you said like what if they're just like a leadership?
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so then if they're in a leadership position, I think it's easier to reach out to people in leadership positions outside of your organization because then you can ask questions like, I see that you're a leader. I'm curious. I would like to learn more about your career because I aspire to do that. I would love to have 10 to 15 minutes of your time to ask questions about your career journey. And then they just ghost you or they don't. So that'd be my, like, the intention is there, and like you didn't ask that leader in the other organizations for a job in the organization. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be my answer to that one. Is that, yeah, I've done that too. I've done a lot of, particularly when I worked in higher ed, I've reached out to deans or higher ed administrators, but not at my school, at other schools, because I feel like, it's a little safer separation of my environment. And I asked them, like, I'm not trying to go to their university. I was like, I admire you as a leader. I've seen some of the things you post, or some of the things you wrote about. I'm curious about your thoughts on X, Y, and Z. And some have given me 15 minutes of their time. Okay, that one. So, okay, it is. I mean, some people say it's a numbers game, just shoot these like canned messages and it happens. That's just not my style. Sometimes, I don't know. It's tricky because what I do is like, I don't have like a real B2B yet. But like, I try to reach out and say, I listen to your podcast, would you be a guest of mine? I try to look for opportunities to collab rather than sell. That's my avenue. That's how I go about it. Like, build a relationship and say, I do this, you do that, let's collab. Maybe there's ways that we can exchange. I don't know, but I just don't really I don't do it. As soon as they add me as a connect, it's not my very next message. That's what I meant by that too. Just like literally, you hear the game go ding, the connect, and the very next message is a canned email. I hate that's what I was trying to get at. Like there was times where maybe down the line, or you build a relationship, or now there's people someone invited me to their like entrepreneurship webinar, but I trust them because that wasn't the first message they ever sent me, and I listened to it. So yeah, and I think that's gentleman right here.
Julius question. Just a thought. I'm listening to hear you talk about reach out to folks on so one of the requirements is a member of reach out that responds. I don't know if we can institute that on a voluntary basis, if it can come down from leadership, say, imagine if we bought into that if the brother reaches out, you have to respond in the next number of hours. Certainly, there's no penalty, but you don't get those points if you don't, honor the flag. So it's just
Well, I mean, common courtesy for me, because I don't think I've been really. There's only like one or two times where I added a brother on Instagram, and then he was like, "Help, brother, I'm gonna do Forex. Come on now, I don't want to sell Forex, whatever that is." But most times, that's kind of like the brand of Alpha has carried itself so much that if anyone reaches out to me on LinkedIn as Alpha, I give them the benefit of the doubt and I respond. And that's just like an individual personal preference. And like I said, 9 out of 10 times, most brothers that did that did not try to sell me something immediately. It was just drilled through the fraternal spirit of brotherhood. But I don't know. I mean, I think it is a common. You can't like mandate anything like that. But just think about like I try to remember myself when I was in their shoes, like especially when I was Neo and someone was new to Alpha, how that felt when I was on the other side. Kind of just basic principles of empathy. I don't know, but that's just me. Go ahead. You got a question or a comment? Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Great. Oh, I'm in a row. Yeah. Okay, well, sorry. Get a recommendation. Well, I want to say I did not expect this. Honestly, this was a surprise. Most times I do a workshop and it was like 5 people. So like honestly, this is. I was like, hey, did it? Look at me, Mom. But honestly, for me, this is when I remember when I came into the fraternity. I already had the podcast and everything, and I thought, what was the ways, in the spirit to the fraternity, right? What ways can I get back? And I was like, well, I talk about media and podcasting. And so for me, this was my way of giving back to the fraternity, right? So I just really want to thank everyone for being a part of this and helping me and allowing me to share. As I said earlier, I'm really not trying to talk about like I know everything. I'm experimenting. I'm learning new things about LinkedIn all the time. And I don't deal in absolutes. So when I learn new things, I tinker and try out things. So I encourage all y'all to find your best practices and hear and find what works for you. Video content, just share what's worked with me so far. Yes, I do. Oh, it's positive filter. Positive, and then the filter is spelled with a PH. I did not do that because of Alpha. It kind of sounds cool, but it's because my name is Philip, and filter negative, I want to be positive. So positive filter, the filter is spelled with a PH. And so, that's on the first slide, I think. All right. Oh, I need to pull it up. All right, well, see, there you go. Like, there's all these, I had so many things to do. All right, there it is. I don't know. Just email me. Okay, also, another plug. I recently chartered a new Toastmasters club. So if anyone's interested in getting involved in Toastmasters is a public speaking, nonprofit public speaking group. So I was like, why not? So with me and about 26 brothers from all over the country. It was virtual. We chartered a Toastmasters club that meets on the second Tuesday of every month. And it's a way for us to practice our speaking, to be more comfortable doing public speaking engagement like this. Not that I think I needed it to be more rehearsed, but it's just a great space. So if you're interested in the same thing, I'm the president of that chapter because I always want to be a president of something. And so, but any questions? I gave my email for everything. Communications follow. And yeah, if you want a piece of paper or whatever, if you want these slides, I'll send these out as well because I talk really fast. And there's things that I know that can be shared later that I didn't get to on the slides.
Since there's an opportunity for mass group sharing, is there an opportunity maybe at the end of this, anyone that's interested?
I mean, you know what? I'm about to be like really low tech. If you want, I'll make an email thread. I'll email this to everybody. You just put your name on this email. Because I don't know. Hold up. Did he check everyone in? Yeah, as I was saying, if he checked everyone in, I should be able to get everyone's email. Right? Okay, then put your email here then. If you did not get checked in, put your name and email on this piece of paper. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're a guy.